So throughout the algebra videos that I've made so far, I have been using a lot of terminology that essentially you need to try and pick up. So the kind of more I use it, hopefully the more it starts to really embed. So it seems a bit strange that only now in the playlist do I actually come around to defining these things, and so to make them clear. But I think it's useful to have seen them prior to this and see them used prior to this, just so you can really start to pick up on those words. And here it can now be kind of clarified to make sure you know what I was talking about. So in this video, I want to explain what we mean by terms, factors, coefficients, variables, and constants, all words that I've used in some way. So let's say I write down an algebraic expression. So let's say I've got 5x plus 8xy plus y squared plus 8, for example. Okay, so here is an algebraic expression. Now, this expression has 4 terms, so each of these I would refer to as a term in the expression. Okay, so you can kind of see them as individual bits. So each of these I would refer to as a term. Now, a factor, if we take a look at 5x, this term here, then 5x has 2 factors. It's got a factor of 5 and a factor of x. So essentially, you know, when we've used factors before, when I look at the number 6 and I go, right, 6 is 2 times 3, you could say that 2 is a factor of 6. You can say that 3 is a factor of 6. Okay? And it's also got 1 as a factor. It's also got 6 as a factor. I know those, but the point of it is that we can see this number clearly as having a factor of 5 and a factor of x. This has a factor of 8, a factor of x, and a factor of y. Okay, so that's what I mean by factors in this context. Now, coefficients. Coefficient is the word that is given to the number on the left-hand side that is multiplying the bit of algebra. So the 8 here is the coefficient of xy. 5 is the coefficient of x. The coefficient of y squared here would just be 1. Okay, you can't see it, we don't bother writing it down. But it's the number that's in the front of the algebra, essentially. Now, variables and constants. Well, a variable is something that can vary in your expression or in your formula. So x here is a variable. Okay, so x is a variable. And y is also a variable. Okay, these are things that can vary. I can substitute in different values for x and y into the expression or into a formula. So they are referred to as variables. Now, some people kind of get confused that saying, okay, but if I say that x is 3 and I substitute that in, how is it still a variable? Because now I'm saying it's 3 and that doesn't vary. Okay, so it's it's kind of like a subtle misunderstanding of what we mean. The fact that x is a variable doesn't mean that it is changing once I've chosen the value of x. Okay, the fact that it is a variable means that it can take on many values, and that's part of your expression or part of your formula. Okay. Constants. So we refer to 8 here as a constant because it's got no algebra attached to it. There's no x's or y's attached to it. It's just a number added onto the end. So we refer to that as a constant that is part of the expression. Okay? So whereas this is a variable and 5x can obviously change depending on the value of x you substitute in, 8 won't change. It is a constant regardless of which value of x I substitute in.